Okay, welcome everybody. This is a weekly co-stream that we do with Hans Nelson on his channel, Hansi Nelson, and Nick Gibbs on his channel, Investing Against the Grain. Today we're going to talk about things that matter for Tesla investors. What happened this week? That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. I can represent the good. Hans can do the bad. Guess that leaves Nick doing the ugly. So let's start with the ugly. Is there something to what's happening at XAI, guys? There seems to be an exodus. At least half of the co-founders of XAI have left, and there seems to be a lot more. And I think some of them have said that we're starting our own thing. XAI is supposed to be the brains for, I don't know, the bot um, and the cars. I don't know to what extent it matters to Tesla investors. I mean, we have lots of executives and staff leaving companies all the time. Is this more than just that? And then why did this happen? It seemed to be just the week after SpaceX acquired XAI. How bad of news is this? Hans, I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, a lot of these people have left a while ago. The founding team was about 12 people, and I think there are 5 now that are gone, unless I missed one. And but only 1 or 2 of those are here just in the past couple of months, and one of them was for medical reasons. And so, yeah, I think, people are kind of making much ado about nothing. I mean, remind me, how many people from the founding team of OpenAI are still there? Oh, yeah, not very many. Just 2 of the original band, I believe, are left standing there. And so part of that is just the nature of these things that, visions change, people's stages in life change. This company situation, it has grown so rapidly that, these people that wanted to be able to get in, remember Elon said that the types of people that he was trying to recruit really wanted to be able to have huge returns in their stock, 100,000x type returns in their portfolios on the stock that they had. And I think the original founders have already achieved that. And now, with the size of this acquisition, how long is it going to take for another 100 to 1,000? And, in the field of AI, could these people go start up something else and be reasonably successful and maybe see another 100 to 1,000x in the next 3 years? It's entirely possible. And so if that's what they're chasing, then maybe XAI is not the best option for them, or maybe it is. I think that the future is still very bright for XAI. And, where else are you going to have just this glut of CPU and GPU resource allocation that you have there? But yeah, so I think those are a couple of the factors. When a big payday comes in, a lot of people are going to take some chips off the table. That's just kind of the nature of the thing. And like I said, only a couple of these things have been even remotely recent. So I think a lot
Okay,
of
maybe we have to switch roles then. It sounds like you're playing the good guy. I have to play the bad guy, Hans, or maybe the ugly. Come on, that's not what's happening. I mean, first of all, they are billionaires, so there is a billionaire exodus because these guys who
Can
started
can you explain what is not happening that Han said?
that there is not an exodus that is significant. He said that a lot of them had left early already. It seems like just in the last few days, there's a lot more than just a couple handful. If you're talking about the co-founders, yes, 2 major co-founders left, but then there seems to be a whole group of others, not just onesie twosies anymore. And then they also hinted that they're going to start something new on their own. Announcement will come with that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, also not super surprising. So one of the things that I did hear on kind of the general departures was that there could be some ITAR things going on, that SpaceX is not allowed to employ foreign nationals or people who I don't know I don't think people with green cards are allowed on the list. And so it could be that there is, because of SpaceX's status as a defense contractor. I don't know if that applies to their holdings though or not. It was just some speculation I had seen, and I'm not sure what to make of that.
Yeah, I think I asked Larry that question, and he said that's rubbish. There's many other kinds of companies that you can look at. Boeing as an example, where they've got
Yeah.
lots of employees that don't meet that because they're just totally separated as divisions, or
Yeah.
in this case, Elon was very good at apparently the way they structured this was two different companies still, one becoming subsidiary, but well protected from either side.
I don't know. I mean, product velocity like seems to be the best in the industry. They're clearly on a path to be one of the leading labs, and if Elon has his way, you know, even Google's not going to be able to compete with them on resources here in the not too distant future. So, yeah, I mean, some people are leaving. It's a big milestone event. When have departures ever hampered Elon from being able to accomplish his plans? And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it's been crazy pace, I think, at XAI for the past while. Like, I can imagine some people being really burned out. Like, I think people burn the midnight oil at XAI even more intensely than at any other Elon company. And there just is only so long that people can do that for. So, yeah, like I said, not super worried.
Curious take. Nick?
Am I on mute? Nope, I'm not on mute. So, what am I supposed to be? Ugly, good looking?
You can do
funny?
whatever. That was a joke. That was a joke.
I think there is nothing here. Go for it. Try to build your own thing. You're going to lose. Mark my words, you're going to lose. We are in a space now where having money, having backing, having a business that is a revenue generating business that has nothing to do with your main business you're trying to start is a must in this space. OpenAI is screwed. Anthropic might also be screwed. Mark my words. This will come down to the Googles, the Microsofts, the Amazons, the Metas, the Teslas of the world. Why? Meta has an entire ad revenue, social media business to generate revenue to fund their AI initiative. Google, it's Google, guys. We know everything they have. They have all that to fund DeepMind. Amazon, same thing. Microsoft, same thing. Tesla, or just a Musk company, same thing. You need to have that profit engine to feed back into this. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to compete against these companies. You're never going to be able to scale. You're never going to be able to get the chips, the infrastructure that everyone else is able to get. Micron, with their high bandwidth memory, they're sold out for 2026, looking into 2027. NVIDIA, they have backlog for the next couple of years. How are you ever going to get in the line versus these companies that have guaranteed cash to put down to buy the latest GPUs, the latest bandwidth memory? And guess what? They can pay people really well to come work for them. So this isn't just about having a good idea in a startup anymore. You have to be able to have the infrastructure, the build out, the energy, the scale. This is the first time that we're seeing that if you want to create a startup here, you have to start on demand with scale. And that scale is going to cost a lot of money. And so you either have that money or you don't. And that I have such a strong opinion about this. I think that if you are not tied to them, if you're not tied to a company like that, you're not going to be successful. OpenAI is showing cracks all over. Anthropic, they were smart and they kind of cornered out a niche, but they are still struggling. So and you know what the best part is? All these other companies.
And Anthropic's revenue source is the one lifeline that OpenAI wants to grab hold of too. Yeah. So like there's only going to be enough there for one of them. So, and that's a battle to the death.
And even then, like how much of Amazon is, or how much of Anthropic's owned by Amazon? These things are pretty entrenched already. So if you want to go out, build your own thing, I would just say good luck, because so long as infrastructure and scale matters and you need money, it's not happening anytime soon. Right now, we're brute forcing with scale and money.
I'm going to play the other side of this because here's my own experience using Anthropic's Opus 4.6. And the same day that they launched the 4.6, Codex, OpenAI launched their Codex version. The difference between these two versions that just dropped, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, is that they are the very first ones that are recursive, self-improved, meaning the older version built it. And then there's a clear advance, and then they are the best at this point, coding. And so therefore, this 4.6 Opus, which is owned by Anthropic, is going to code the next version. It's going to code the next version, and so forth. It's this potential that they could run
Herbert,
away with.
Remind me, how does 4.6 and Opus 4.6 and 5.3, how do they code the next version? What do they need?
Data centers, are you saying? Yeah.
And energy.
And energy.
So that loop can only run so many times.
Money. Without money, none of that's possible. Any of it.
Anthropic is going to go IPO this year. They're going to be over $1 trillion, possibly.
You think that's enough? No, that's not even a joke. How much do you think they're going to raise the IPO? To put the example, SpaceX is going to IPO at 1.5 trillion. They aim at raising what, 50 billion, right? That's the rumor. Okay, so let Anthropic IPO that. I don't know how much they're going to try to raise, but who cares? Amazon's doing 200 billion this year.
I know. Yeah, they're spending 200 billion. That's because they have so much more that they're spending 200 billion.
That's my point. So go for it. IPO. Matter. You can't keep up. It's impossible. And you know what you see?
Well, NVIDIA, until they merge.
Exactly. NVIDIA is buying pieces of these companies. NVIDIA is doing it so smart. Yeah, I'll take a part of you, because eventually you're going to come home to daddy, and daddy's going to get you when you need us, and we have maximum leverage over you. Like I don't know. Like maybe it's just me, but it just seems so obvious what's happening.
First of all, I agree with what you're saying. Totally believe that the larger the data center, the bigger the compute, that's the winner. That's the ultimate winner. And we haven't seen anything yet. So we're all very excited about what we're seeing today. But the bigger the compute, but how long will Elon be able to get these data centers to be that big? Now, the question that, so Hans kind of said, brushed it off, said, yeah, people leave all the time. You think that this is not coincidental, that something happened with the SpaceX purchase of XAI, that this is beyond just the fact that it's a billionaire exodus? They're all billionaires now. They want to do things. Are they still trying to become multi-billionaires? Yeah. Is that what they're trying to do?
Or burned out. I mean, yeah, like I would want to go start a startup if I was exiting because I was burned out. I would go get a cushy job at Google or Amazon or somebody else who would pay me, and I wouldn't have to work quite as hard. But yeah, like I think it's going to be all of the above. Like, and a lot of these people are going to have different reasons, but the timing, once you start seeing, hey, so-and-so that I've been here in the trenches with for so long, like I was kind of staying in here for these people and they're out, and man, I like either I've got enough money, I'm tired. Maybe I just want to build something besides, frontier models. Maybe I want to go into something else. Like, yeah, there's going to be lots of different reasons, and they'll all be, but they're still all triggered by the acquisition. Like, this is where the liquidity event happens. And this is where you're going to see, the herd thin a little bit. But I don't think that XAI has a hard time recruiting. So just like Tesla and SpaceX can pull in, the top of the top all the time, and they can always get fresh blood, XAI will be the same. And yeah, like the thing that this does allow for right now, like they already had one of the best compute per capita budgets of any, they already had by far the best compute per capita budget of any of the for-profit labs. But now with even lower headcount, people will get more compute to run experiments with. And so, yeah, like I'm not worried about the talent density there or the future. Okay. Like it still all boils down to energy and chips.
And to have energy and chips, you need money. And let me get back to that in a second. But let's also not avoid the very obvious reason why people might leave XAI. Either one, Elon is telling them your time here is done. Right? If you read Walter Isaacson's book, I don't like a lot of the way Walter phrased things, like his dark side and all this stuff. But I do believe a lot of the stories were true, where people who have worked at certain companies for a long time, Elon kind of tapped them and said, it's time for you to go. Even though they were working hard and everything, but Elon could see that this person is at their limits. There's a good chance he tapped a lot of people saying, this is your time to exit. And there's probably a lot of other people saying, I'm sick of tired of working for this guy. Like he just doesn't stop. Right. So I'm sure there's a lot of that as well. But I'll go back to it. I can't, to me, it's just so important for people to understand this, because this is where people can create generational wealth moving forward in their lives. It's like going back into 2010 and someone told you Amazon, Google, Meta, Netflix, Tesla, invest in only those, nothing else. You trust me, just trust me. And then you're in 2020, you're like, wow, that's amazing. And I feel like we're at that same point. Look, whether it's Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, these companies, they are pulling a Tesla. All right. For years, even to this day, Tesla sells EV credits to all these other OEMs that are ICE companies. And these ICE companies that Tesla is slowly killing with autonomy or EVs are having to pay them, while Tesla takes their time and figure out what they're doing. All these cloud companies, guess where Anthropic, OpenAI, guess where they're building on the cloud companies. Where are they running the train? All the cloud companies. While so the cloud companies are getting paid while they sit there, they take their time, they figure out what they've figured out, and they wait to catch up. And what do you think is eventually going to happen? Eventually, I don't need you anymore. Like, so the competition is paying the cloud companies to eventually displace them. Like, this is what's going to happen. There's no two ways about it. It will happen. I mean, you can even see with Amazon UPS. Amazon was building out their entire infrastructure, right? For delivering vehicles, planes, everything. Guess what? As of January, Amazon has no partnership with anymore. UPS, right? Like, it's a very consistent pattern that we see with technology companies and companies that have multiple different businesses within them. So to me, again, the writing seems really clear on the wall. And if these people want to leave XAI to go do their own thing, they don't see what I think Elon sees and what Hans is talking about. We're going to need chips. You're going to need energy, and you're going to need money. And the only way to do that is to consolidate right now.
Interesting. Both of you go. Yep, sounds good. I can see what you guys are saying. Just wanted to play the other side of it because, there is a path for Anthropic where they have a recursive loop AI that is building faster, quicker, getting smarter, able to replace complete industries like lawyers or whatever, something like that. And
Not gonna happen.
the CEO, the CEO saying that could happen by next year if this improves so quickly.
Go watch the Davos interview with Dara. That's the Anthropic CEO. Right? That's his name. And the DeepMind, I forget his name, guy. Go watch that Davos interview, and you will see
Demis
Hassabis and Dario Amodei.
Just go watch that interview, and you tell me who's more accurate and right. And all it is literally an interview, of being like an Anthropic CEO constantly saying, "Okay, maybe it was a little optimistic." It's because these guys are trying to sell. They keep trying to sell. OpenAI is out there talking about how they have a very dangerous model now that's breaking all security rules, and like they have to constantly be selling the future. And Elon does a lot of this too. Like, let's just keep things honest. But they have to sell the future so that they keep getting funding, so they can try to keep doing this. Now it's like, oh, the models are teaching them. They're not doing anything new that no one else is doing. None of it.
I mean, I do think, like there is a path for them to make really great models for some time ahead still, but we haven't really reached the bottlenecks yet. Like, we're not crunching against the energy wall yet. We're like, there's a lot of different things where, first of all of these frontier model companies are in roughly the same place. Like Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3 are ahead today. Do you think that's going to be the case a month from now? Like, you would have to be just completely have amnesia over what's happened over the past year to think that you can hold that lead for more than a month.
Yeah, they're still jumping each other. Okay.
And so, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that was the first story we needed to talk about is XAI. Now, the next one is possibly very good news. 7 things happened just in the last several days here that are great for FSD, Cybercab, robo-taxi. I'll go through this list. Number 1, unsupervised robo-taxi fleet is growing. Now there's 7 totally unsupervised. Small number, but the key thing to watch there is that it's growing from 5 to 6 to 7, all in like single digit 1 or 2 days. It's starting to add. There is 53 Cybercab manufacturing roles that they're hiring for. There are AI safety operators in a city near Dallas that they're hiring for. Cybercabs were spotted at the end of the Giga Texas production line, and then they're practicing how once it comes out of the factory, where it needs to go. They're already testing that out now. Tesla announced in China that they've they deployed an AI data center in China for specifically FSD training there. There's rumors that Europe is on the verge of approving it. And then Congress introduced the Self-Drive Act, and that passed and advanced through a committee just yesterday. Now it's going to go through the next steps. If everything goes well there, then we might be able to see some sort of law approved by the end of the summer. That's if everything goes right, of course. And then Lemonade kept their word. They said that they were going to offer 50% off insurance if you drive FSD. They announced that in Arizona last month, and they said that they were going to announce it in Oregon this month, and that happened a couple days ago. And now they've got 8 other states to add. All of these things that are happening. Robo-taxi thesis is accelerating faster than people are realizing. That's the good news. What do you think, guys?
I'm going to hand it to Nick this time first.
Oh, what do I think about that? Well, I wouldn't say it's happening fast per se, because I think everyone thought it was going to happen faster than when it has happened. So I think fast may be a poor choice of words. So just to keep things like, let's just all be very honest with ourselves. Not one person listening on this call was like, yeah, I knew this is where we would be in 2026 going into the spring. Nah, no one did. Everyone thought we'd be further along. And that's okay, because what's important is that they're doing it safely and that they're doing it. Like, they're doing it. It's happening. So I think that's what's really exciting. I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen. And as I just mentioned, we've all been wrong. So take this with a grain of salt, my optimism. But I feel like we are any day, any week, any month right now from a real, and not to always make this about the stock, but from a real pop in Tesla stock. It seems so clear to me now that everything that Wall Street wants is all that Wall Street wants is to see where the profits are going to come from all this AI hype and spending. On the one hand, they think that there's an AI bubble. On the other hand, you have them saying that SaaS is dead. So both can't be true. All right. So something's got to give. And
yeah, that's a classic tell that, there's a big opportunity is when you have 2 really loud narratives that are both in complete conflict and contradictory to one another.
Yeah. And to me, there is a right answer. And the right answer is that there is no bubble and SaaS is not dead. All right. Anthropic is not going to go and displace lawyers, right? Anthropic and OpenAI and XAI, they're not going to displace all these SaaS companies. Will there be SaaS companies that essentially become irrelevant or have to rethink their business model? Yeah, of course there will be. But the truth is, that's a lot of different niches to get into, to do really well, to drive good customer experience. And the truth is, every single SaaS company out there right now is working or are working on deprecating parts of their product that can be just handled through an LLM on the back end, They are using agents internally to deliver better services. They're using these tools to build upon what they've already done, which gives them a huge head start from compared to Anthropic and all of them. Meanwhile, they don't have to worry about creating the next best LLM. Anthropic, OpenAI, they do have those pressures. So I think you're just going to see all these SaaS companies get better, leaner, and they're going to have to go through a period of rebuilding and rethinking and reinventing themselves. That's normal. All right. So it's no different than when cloud came and all these companies were on prem and then they moved to cloud. It's like, oh, cloud's just going to build all these things. No, you still have CrowdStrike, you still have Okta, right? You still have a lot of these companies that do things that, yes, even the clouds offer these type of services, but they're different. So that's one thing. So I don't think there's an AI bubble, and I don't think SaaS is going to disappear. There's definitely not an AI bubble because it's very obvious. You've got real money from real companies at record amounts, and there's huge backlog when it comes to GPUs and high bandwidth memory. So clearly there's no AI bubble. Clearly these companies are coming out and saying, we see return on invested capital. So I think all this is happening. But the problem is Wall Street is on a timeline, which is quarterly or 1 year, or at the most, for the most out there Wall Street person, 18 months. And that's where they live. And if it's not happening there, they're screwed. It's like Gary Black. Well, all these people, they do not know how to model anything out unless they're told what to model out, and they can't see it on the balance sheet. So it's really hard to see productivity. Everyone's more productive, not just employees, everyone. Every one of us here have built more software, have built more things, put more things out there into the world than we ever have in our entire lives over the last 12 months. All of us. This is everyone. Everyone in the world is going through this right now. So there is productivity happening to another level that is really difficult to quantify. You are seeing return on invested capital in the ad space. Meta just demonstrated that with a massive quarter. Google's doing the same thing. They are able to target people better with better ads that cost less to make and have better match of person to product that's never been seen before. And so what happens when you get better returns on your advertisement money that you're spending? You spend more on ads, and it just becomes this virtuous cycle. So that's where we're seeing right now a lot of the revenue come in for AI, productivity and ads. Now, Wall Street wants the simple button, and I think that's why Tesla's about to have a big pop, because the very obvious simple button is autonomy. It's easy. How many cars do you have? How many miles they driven? What are you charging? How many cities? Easy math. They love that. And I think Wall Street's foaming at the mouth to find something like that. And I think as we get through March, April, May, June, you're going to see that as Tesla continues to expand, you're going to start to see that reflect in the stock price way before we start to see it on the balance sheet in a meaningful way. So I think that narrative is going to feed into what Wall Street wants, and Tesla will become a darling company by the summer, would be my guess.
I think if they merge with SpaceX, that could muddy the waters on that. I don't really know. It is something that's so many people are excited by, but if they've got robo-taxi kind of taking off at the same time that we're merging, we've got this big conglomerate now, and there's a lot more expenses, a lot more potential revenue streams. Starlink's performance will factor in heavily as well. But between Starlink and robo-taxi, those are very easy to model revenue streams. And so I think that, yeah, like if you do combine those, I just have a hard time thinking through whether that will be a reduction in enthusiasm by Wall Street flat or actually an increase.
Spoken like a true Tesla investor. Paranoid.
Well, you have to be. We've seen it too much. Hans, what's your thoughts on the list?
Hans. Sorry, just one last thought. If you're Elon, and you've heard him say a lot recently that Google will be one of the winners, right? If you're Elon, how do you compete with Google with everything they have unless he starts to consolidate everything. How
Yeah,
else
he's
do you
got to
compete against
go. I mean, that's why we've seen him really start thinking about projects on Kardashev level 2 scale, is because in order to outcompete Google, he has to think bigger than they're thinking. And they're already, like, Google is playing for the world's most powerful artificial superintelligence. Well, what's bigger than the world's most powerful artificial and superintelligence? The solar system's largest and most powerful superintelligence. And that's where, I think this big pivot has come over the last 12 months, was that he realized that's what he was going to have to do in order to be able to not just go head to head with Google, but actually to be able to win. It'll take a little bit of time, but he'll get there. And yeah, I mean, that's how Elon thinks. They brought out the crazy competitive streak in him, and he always goes back to first principles. He always boils things down to the bare physics. It's like, well, there's only so many atoms here on Earth that can be turned into thinking machines, but there's a lot of energy and a lot of atoms that are out there beyond Earth that could be turned into thinking machines a lot easier. And just so happens that I've already been trying to go to space for a long time, and I'm well positioned to be able to do something there. So yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to consolidate for those reasons. And, like cash flow, you've got to be able to leverage every tool in the tool chest in order to go as fast as humanly possible right here at this critical moment in time when you're not too far behind the curve from Google to where they just get out ahead of you and become uncatchable.
And don't forget, it's not just Google. Sergey Brin is back at Google. So you've got founder mode at Google again.
I think Demis is the primary founder mode back at Google.
Don't disagree with that, but I'm just saying, like, they're not just the day 2 company that they were becoming.
Yeah. Do you have any comments on the progress on robo-taxi, and then we can go back to the moon, the space city?
Yeah. Well, so robo-taxi is really exciting. And I think to Nick's point, before we launched in June of last year, I probably would have been happy with where we're at. But when we went ahead and launched robo-taxi, I think I would have expected that we'd be a little bit further along in the progress of events by now. But that said, it's one of these things that it is an exponential function. And so it seems and feels really, really, really slow in the early going. And then there's going to be at some point where, you're going to look backwards and think, okay, it took us forever to get to this point. And so it's going to take us at least 6 months to a year to get to that milestone. And then it'll be like 2 months later that it happens, or 1 month later, or, next week. And so that's the thing that we're in for, I think sometime this year, that it's going to go from being excruciatingly slow because we just want to hit those like 1,000 cars and then 10,000 car mark. And somewhere between 1,000 cars and 10,000 cars, the line just goes straight up. And then before you know it, we've got 100,000 cars.
Okay. Well, we went through the list of the things that happened this week. The big story, though, is Elon pivoting and saying, "Hey, we're going to build a city on the moon." Sorry, it's going to be a moon-based alpha, and he's just went on a tweet rampage the last weekend, the last few days, not even stopping. He's talking about how that's going to happen. So we talked about why that's important. He needed to kind of like, articulate why and how to take advantage of the space-based AI, and then the energy bottleneck, get free energy from the sun. I need to get there sooner, but everything's come together. How is this? How do you guys view that in perspective of Tesla specifically? Whether or not Tesla is a merged or not even merged, regardless, are you guys thinking that that's very positive for investors?
Do you want me to go first on this one, Nick?
Yeah. Thank
you. Yeah, it's part of the big grand plan, and all of the companies are going to be, this is going to be a big deal for Boring Company. This is obviously going to be a big deal for XAI and SpaceX. Tesla will also be involved in that. One of the big businesses on the moon is going to be manufacturing satellites. And one of the things that Elon was talking about in the Cheeky Pint episode was how, what does Tesla need to do more of right now? Oh, they need to be doing more ore refining. Well, where are they going to be doing this ore refining? They're going to be doing more of it here on Earth, that's for sure. But they're going to be doing a lot of it off Earth too. So we're going to start with the moon, then eventually we're going to do it on Mars. Those are going to be Tesla specific jobs to be done, merged or not merged. The chips are probably still going to be Tesla. I think Tesla's going to be the one handling the fab of everything. Probably, right now there is kind of a concurrent goal with SpaceX and Tesla to get to that 100 gigawatts of solar cells manufactured per year. We'll see if it stays that way or if that ends up getting folded into Tesla as well, or maybe SpaceX can actually edge that out and they can take over solar cell manufacturing. But I think that one's probably going to land with Tesla because there's so much in common between chip fab and solar fab. So I think that that's probably going to be something that Tesla investors can look forward to. And yeah, I mean, just the chip part alone, that's going to be a huge deal. We already know that's what Elon wants to do when he gets to the moon, is set up factories that can produce AI satellites that they're just going to launch into space right off the moon with this big old railgun. It's going to be incredible. And a lot of the components of those satellites are going to be components that are sourced or have Tesla somewhere in the supply chain. And yeah, I mean, we're talking about, terawatts a year of satellites. So it's kind of a big TAM.
But Hans, is it fair to say that none of that's going to happen in the first 3 years? This is things that we'll expect to happen in the future, we can look forward to, but not something that's going to impact the company in the next 3 years.
Well, yeah, will they be delivering on that in the next 3 years? Heck no. We've got a lot of, Starship development to go before we can put that much cargo on the surface of the moon. But once we show that, yes, we're delivering significant quantities of down mass to the moon, and Elon's got all of his cash generating engines just throwing off all sorts of capital and able to fund these ambitious plans, and he's still saying, yeah, this is the goal, like 5 years from now we're going to be launching a terawatt of satellites off the moon. Like the 3-year time scale, he's still going to be trying to work up into launching tens of gigawatts of AI satellites from Earth. But that's going to be, the next step after Earth will be the moon, and he'll be laying the foundations and start making the preparations for that already in 2028, 2029. You'll start seeing the big projects. And so I think it will be something that investors, I don't know if they'll be able to sink their teeth into it 3 years from now, or if it'll be 5 years from now, but sometime, in that 3 to 5 year time frame, I would expect for that to feel like a tangible, investable thesis.
Herbert, did you see what I just dropped in the chat? Xander texted us this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Interesting if you want to look at it, and
yeah,
if you want to share it. So Hans, just real quick while Herbert decides he wants to share this, do you think that they are going to merge or do a reverse merger, or do you think SpaceX would go public? Because I was talking to my father about it yesterday, he was asking me what I think, and it's like, honestly, I think there's a chance it happens, but if you ask me to put money on it, I would say it's not going to happen, at least not this year. But I think there's something like, I don't know, 35% chance it happens. What say you?
I think it's either going to happen really fast, or yeah, like you said, it's not going to happen this year. That it would be a down the line thing. I don't expect it to be a reverse merger. Where, or not a, I don't expect it to be a SpaceX acquires Tesla.
No. Tesla which acquired SpaceX.
Well, that's one of the conversations that I've been listening to a lot, is that, a lot of people see a lot of upsides for Elon if he were to do that. But I think that would really screw over the retail investors in Tesla. Like, how did Tesla shareholders benefit other than they get, the premium and the payday? But then their ability to retain ownership of the company as it goes back to private and then comes back public eventually. I don't think that that's going to be a path that Elon goes for. So yeah, I would think it'd be the reverse merger, bring SpaceX and XAI into the fold. And yeah, I would say I would probably put it closer to 50-50, maybe 45% yes, 55% no. Really, I just have to say 50-50 because I don't have the ability to handicap how hard all of that's going to be from a regulatory standpoint. I'm just not smart enough and informed enough to know how hard all that's going to be from a legal standpoint.
Okay, yeah, ready to share. This is interesting. Thank you, Xander, for alerting us to this. This is just something that just dropped now. Looks like that two things happened. One is XEI publicly posted a 45-minute all-hands meeting that Elon had. Now, it said with employees recently, so we don't know when this was. It was last night, yesterday, maybe several days ago. Here's Elon talking to the XEI team. It could have been when he was explaining why there needs to be a merger. It looks like that's what it is, why the explanation merger. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to find out what this is all about. Oh, but actually, interestingly, so you see that graphic in the back? That is this, which is he announced a new organizational structure. And he said this, because we've reached a certain scale, we're organizing the company to be more effective at the scale. Naturally, when this happens, there's people who are better suited for the earlier stages of the company and less suited for the later stages. For the people who have departed, thank you for your contribution. We wish you very well in your future. So this actually is what Nick said, was that maybe it was Elon that decided to do it. So we'll have to find out when this 45-minute all-hands meeting happened. If it was because of the SpaceX merger, it would have been perfectly timed that this is now the new org structure.
Based on
and then
Elon's
people
haircut,
left.
This was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nicely done, dude. Yeah. Nicely done.
Well, and remember what he was talking about in that, another Cheeky Pint comment.
Yeah.
He was talking about how that happened in his other companies, that as, you grow, there's like a culture that works at one scale. And then the faster you grow, the faster you end up having turnover because the needs of the organization are changing faster than the people can keep up. And so you have to bring in, you have to purge, a certain level of the people who were incredibly well suited to the phase that you just left, in order to bring in people that are incredibly well suited to take you where you're going in the next phase.
Should I play this and let's see? Can you guys hear him?
No.
Okay.
Major accomplishments.
Yeah. Okay. I am using the wrong browser, so I can't play it.
That's all right. We get the gist of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see this come out. And it's, once again, Herbert has his pulse on the topic to have, because of course he
Nick
talks
has
about
his
this
pulse on the answer.
Well, you set me up for these things, and you don't give me a brief ahead of time. And
no, but I mean, I gave you credit. I said you were
no,
right.
I'm saying like I just jump on these, and I mean Han's experienced
Your
it now, so you
instinct was
just jump on,
correct.
and
Yeah.
whatever Herbert says, that's what we're talking about today. And so it's like you always got to be quick with it. Got to get
Yeah,
you.
well, you're correct. Your instincts were correct. That seems to be the case. If this meeting happened a week ago because of the SpaceX, Elon decided on a restructure. That's why all these people left. We should feel very good if this is the case, as opposed to the other way around, that people left because they were not happy.
Well, that's what Hans was saying too, right? Like, it's not a. I don't think it's like a big thing. Like I think the whole story of people leaving is a non-issue. It's more noise than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what just happened with XAI and SpaceX was a phase change for XAI as a company. Like, the company that it was a month ago is not the company that it is today anymore. The ambitions are massively grown. The maturity level that's required now has grown. And yeah, now you're part of a big company, and there's a lot of things that, change as part of that. And so, when you have such a big inflection point in the history of a company, it's pretty natural. I think from both, like, from the employee standpoint, like we led the show off with, but then from Elon's standpoint too, like, this is exactly the right time to reorganize the company. Like, we have really expanded the goals, the mission, the ambition of the company, and it's become much more clear in the last 12 months exactly what that's going to look like. And so now we need to say, okay, what does the organization that accomplishes those specific goals look like today? And let's make it happen.
Okay. So, wow.
I know.
This is good news. There is no bad. There's no ugly.
Never bet against Elon.
Because if this is the case, and Elon has restructured XAI, he has thought everything through. The way I was thinking though, this, okay, Elon has this big goal, as we said, okay, he has to be Google. He has access now. He needs to build the greatest data centers. I've got everything lining up. I'm going to merge SpaceX with XAI. I'll merge Tesla with it. But as part of that, there will be casualties. You can't please 100% of the people. So I thought, okay, well, some of the XAI employees, they must feel like they didn't get enough money. They didn't feel like they don't like the new structure, the new vision. There's going to be casualties. But if anything, Elon might have planned everything, of course, well ahead of time, knew already what's going to happen, and is well ahead of the game.
It can be both of those things at the same time. Like, there are people whose performance is not keeping up because they're frustrated, and it's a good time for both people to separate.
Okay.
Like, do you do your best work? Can you keep up with absolute killers when you're spending 50% of your emotional energy on being upset?
Why? Anyway, okay. Yeah. Never bet against Elon. Jesus.
All right.
Okay, what would happen with Tesla? I was thinking the same thing. Once Tesla's emerge, I wouldn't think that there would be, again, what do I know? Something like this, a major restructuring required. Doesn't sound like it to me. Who knows?
A major restructuring of Tesla, or
given the new mission, given the bigger goals, given.
I think Elon's laying the groundwork for that, regardless of whether or not they merge. If there's going to be a terafab that ends up having to be built, Tesla is going to have to be somewhat
Well, let me give you
restructured.
an example. Warren Redlick was saying something a long time ago that I thought was very thought provoking. So the XAI was a separate company. XAI is building superintelligence. Tesla, separate company, has Ashok Goswami building AI for the cars. Why would Tesla need Grok to be the brain for the bot or the car? Tesla has its own AI ambitions. It can create it. It can be better than all these LLMs. It doesn't need to be an LLM approach. It can be really focused on what the bot needs. If the two merge, who's in charge of the true AI brains for the bot? You know what I mean? It feels like it's, I always found it weird that we're relying on XAI for this.
I mean, yeah, these are two different applications of AI that started in two different places. But as the capability of AI grows, eventually XAI will be able to do what Tesla does, and eventually Tesla will be able to do what XAI does. And at some point, they're bound to meet in the middle. To your point about, who's going to be in control at that point in time? Well, that's going to be up to Elon Musk to delegate and assign roles. And ultimately, what that's going to boil down to is who ships the most stuff the fastest and the best. And right now, we do see a lot of work that's being done at XAI specifically on simulation that's really outside of the scope of what Tesla, like the use case at Tesla. So, the idea of digital humans is a completely different idea than a bunch of simulated cars running around. It's the same AI4, AI5 chips that are doing a lot of the reinforcement learning that is happening here with inference time compute, but the applications, like Tesla just doesn't yet have the the data or the application, since Optimus isn't working, for it to make sense to try and emulate digital humans on AI5 computers. But that does make absolute sense for XAI. And like I said, this is where, so you've got Tesla simulating real world agents in the form of cars in the world, and then in the physical world, and then you've got XAI simulating these digital humans doing knowledge work. And while those are separate right now, they're only one step apart, and they come together in Optimus. And the ability to fuse those two things is going to be quite something.
I think it's interesting to look at the way that he structured this. This tells you his priorities. Macro hard, that's probably the digital human, right? The digital Optimus, the ability to understand what it's looking at, using vision, being able to see a computer screen and understanding. That's the key thing. It's really understanding what it is that I'm looking at, what my task is, and be able to do that. Imagine, it seems like he's putting a lot of effort in visual videos, movies, moving pictures, coding.
Yeah,
that's
that's
critical.
about advancing a world model. So that is,
I see.
Tesla already has a world model,
simulation
but
engine.
that's based on driving data and the physics that they've learned from that. Imagine,
well, this is XAI.
XAI's
this is
version.
XAI.
Yeah, it's their application and their way to develop a world model.
Yeah, and then Grok main and voice. Interesting. That's the AGI. That's the baby AGI.
The way I think about it is, or at least why it makes sense for XAI and Tesla to merge, is that I think what Elon is building is a frontal lobe. And if you know how, so the frontal lobe has two halves to it, right? You've got your motor cortex and you've got your prefrontal cortex. Motor cortex is responsible for muscle movements in the body, whereas the prefrontal cortex deals with reasoning. And so I think Tesla, with what they're doing with Optimus, they're working on the motor cortex, and XAI is working on the prefrontal cortex. So you got reasoning and motor function, and those two are destined to become together for Optimus.
Nicely said. I can believe it. Wow. Okay. This is great news. Nick, since you've been correct so recently,
Stop it.
so often,
Frequently?
stop
That's
it.
a weird way to
some
say
more.
frequently.
Stop it. Stop it.
Stop.
Stop it. Stop it. So you just said earlier that you think Tesla stock is gonna pop by June. You're still gonna stick by that, huh? I hope you're friggin' right, dude.
So you broke up on that last one. About what? No, I swear to you.
I
I
hope-
got
yeah,
text
sure,
messages-
sure.
Okay, you didn't break up.
I
You're
hope
right.
you're
That was a
friggin'
lie. I
right.
shouldn't lie. You said something, and I got text message that came in, and it rang in my ear, so
I
went over
literally
your
said, I hope you're friggin' right. You're saying that
Oh.
June the stock's gonna pop.
Well, I think it'll happen before then. I think by June it'll be very obvious. So I don't think it's like a pop like what. It's not GameStop. Okay, it's not like
Yeah.
that. I just think that we're gonna gradually march up. I see no reason why we wouldn't, especially if we can. There's only two risks I see. One, Tesla doesn't continue to speed up what they're doing, which it looks like they are, and then two, we have a big macro event with the Fed being too late on cutting rates, and we get into a very bad deflationary cycle that essentially becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where people aren't spending, companies don't have as much demand, so they reduce supply, so they don't need as many jobs, so then they don't hire as many people, so then they lay off people, and then people sell their stocks and bonds and crypto so they can fund their lives, and it just becomes this horrible cascading effect until the Fed cuts. So aside from that happening and Tesla not continuing this escalation, this increasing what appears to be kind of a hockey stick of news and progress on robo-taxis, I think that we're going to keep running. I think it's no surprise that everything that we've gone through so far this year, and it's a lot we've gone through. I won't list it all, but we've had a lot of one-offs that could be their own crazy black swans in a given year, and we've had pretty much all of them over the last 6 weeks. And Tesla is hanging out here at 426. That tells me something. That tells me a lot.
It's like there's this magnetism to 420 or something.
I like it, but it's time to get high.
We've got to split the stock and then it'll go.
Okay, well, it's all too confusing because, like you said, Hans, everything's happening at the same time. It's too many things happening. If it was just robo-taxi, that makes sense. But now you got the, right now, Nick and Hans, you guys think that this SpaceX overhang, it's not an overhang. It's actually a lift. It's a rocket lift. Is that the way the investors are going to look at this? Or are they going to look at it as an overhang?
I think it depends on their time horizon and, whether they're tech oriented or not. That's how I look at it. If I'm looking out 5 to 10 years, especially if I'm looking out 10 years, holy smokes, this is the most exciting
What's
thing.
happening to the stock this year before September, given everything you know? Where are you standing on this?
I don't know. I'm still holding my leaps. So
no, I know you are. What do you think that's going to happen in everything together?
Well, that tells
you
what I think is going to happen is that, I'm not selling my leaps here because I expect the stock to go down.
Okay.
I think that, more than likely, as long as we don't get massive regulatory headwinds that are a surprise and a complete flip on lawfare against Elon and Tesla, like I think that's the only other, kind of black swan headwind that we haven't really talked about so far. That's not impossible, but I don't think very likely. That would.
I don't think about that.
Yeah, that would cause me to reevaluate my expectations for the year, but it wouldn't really change my expectations long term.
But so in general, you think that the SpaceX conversation merging Tesla is actually a good thing for the stock, not downer. Yeah.
Overall,
Great
yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that, Nick?
I think it's a great thing for the stock overall. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Okay.
only reason it's not is it is only on a time basis thing, potentially. And even that may not be true because there might be you don't know the demand out there to have a piece of SpaceX. You have no
Yeah.
idea. So even like imagine like everyone talks about the dilution, all this stuff. Okay, let's talk about the other scenario. Let's talk about the optimistic scenario. What happens if there are so many people that have been wanting to get into SpaceX and Starlink, plus autonomy is ripping, and now you have a crazy amount of insatiable demand for that new company? What happens to your investment then? And that's a very likely story.
Well,
Yeah.
and don't forget the point that AJ has been making very well, and I think he's 100% correct on. There is a Musk premium that Tesla gets right now. And if there's two Musk companies that are both public, or, they're separate and one might go public, then the dilution, like we think about dilution in terms of dilution in your ownership of the overall company. Yeah, what about looking at the fact that dilution of your Musk option value, because people can get Musk option SpaceX XAI and they can get Musk option Tesla. That's it's not a either we join or there's nothing that happens. Like if there's not a merger between Tesla and SpaceX and XAI, then SpaceX and XAI are going public, and there are a lot of downsides for Tesla shareholders to not participate in that deal. So,
yeah.
What do you think, Herbert? I mean, you're always asking us.
No, I'm very, very positive about this. I'm very happy that this is happening. I want SpaceX and XAI to merge with Tesla. I think that I like what Alexandra's one of her models that she's worked out is that there's a likelihood that when they do this merger, that they would give a premium to Tesla shareholders to even out that the SpaceX cash flow is not the same as Tesla's at this point. And so there needs to be some sort of premium. And if that's the case, Tesla shareholders will be very happy.
So Herbert, was that in the event still of Tesla acquiring SpaceX? Because
yes.
Okay,
yes, because
maybe I was misunderstanding that.
Their mergers are equal, regardless of who buys who. It's a merger of equal. The problem is that SpaceX only makes $25 billion of revenue, $8 billion of profit, and how big is Starlink going to be, which is their only real revenue stream at this point. Meanwhile, Tesla is $100 billion revenue company, 15 plus billion of profit. And then they're going to grow with autonomous and all that. So you need to have, everything that SpaceX is promising is 3+ years out, and so you need to have some sort of premium applied.
Ow! You said so many things that are wrong. Sorry, my opinion is that they're wrong.
Okay.
So to sit there and say that SpaceX only doing $8 billion, they've gotten to whatever they are right now in such a short amount of time. And Starlink is expanding faster and faster. So don't underestimate the speed of that. Also, Tesla, like think about it this way. Tesla has been around for how long? And they're just now doing, it's not 15, it's probably more like 12 right now. They're putting essentially what, 4 billion a year or a quarter onto the balance sheet. Okay, maybe that's 16, or call it 16. And SpaceX are already doing 8, and most of that is 9% of that is supposedly Starlink.
And margin is different. I agree with you. Larry pointed out that SpaceX margins, even though it's smaller, the Starlink is almost all profit at this point.
Exactly. So, and that's expanding faster than I would say autonomy is expanding right now. So there's a lot of upside there. But then also, like, it's not just a sum of the parts. I say this all the time. It's like the simple way to think about this is 1 + 1 = 3. And then people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is I have this microphone, I have this cable, I have this internet connection, and I have these 2 friends. If you put them all apart, there's no value. They're on their own, they're not significant. But when I connect all these and we get on and we have a conversation, we exchange ideas, now there's so much more value and the pie gets bigger. And so that's what happens when Tesla and SpaceX get together, right? The synergies, what they can build together, the amount of entropy that goes away because they're not independent companies and they can work together and they don't have to make sure that everything's on the up and up from a legality perspective and who's paying what for what services. All that goes away, right? And just think about how leaner you can get with teams. I mean, there's so much more that can happen. So it's not just this is how much they make, this is how much we make, and together now that's how much we make. No, there's so much more value to be unlocked. It's like baking a cake. Maybe I'll keep with my analogy.
Yeah.
Keep going. The flour on its own, the sugar on its own, chocolate chips on their own suck. You put them together, put a little heat, a little love, and you got something incredible.
And
All
a
right,
lot
you're
of
telling
butter.
a great story, and that's what the point is. It's still story stock. Big story.
It's not story. Autonomy is real. Go to Austin. You can do it right now.
Yeah.
Satellites are in the sky, circulating around us. You can have internet
No,
connection anywhere in the
I
world.
am with
It's
you.
not
I have
story,
no
it's
doubt.
real.
For me, I think the
Rockets
stock
are
will-
being caught out of the sky. It's
Yeah.
real.
I think that when they merge the three together, it won't just be a $1.3 billion company. If it was just SpaceX and XAI 1.3, this won't just be a $1.83 trillion company combined together. It's going to be $4 trillion. It's going to be a pop. Yeah, and Elon will do a great job. They will do a great job going through the roadshow, explaining the benefits and what exactly the revenue streams are. And Elon's he's not his first rodeo.
Yeah.
At some point,
I
this
think
is not a conversation for today, but we really should dig into and talk about what does Jensen Huang and NVIDIA have to say about that future? What role do they play with or against Elon Musk, Muskiverse, Tesla, SpaceX, XAI? Because, that is the other big player in this whole race that we didn't really talk about as much today. We talked about Google, we talked about Microsoft, we talked about Amazon and Facebook, but I think that Jensen's going to have a lot to say about what the future of space compute looks like. I know this is something that he is thinking about deeply, and he is an incredible executor. And so that will be another interesting storyline to watch. How does that play out between these big players?
Yeah, I'm expecting Elon making announcements about big deals associated with all this as well. That's what you're saying. Maybe it's going to be from NVIDIA. Maybe it's going to come from the government, space defense. Maybe it's going to, there's many companies. Google might be the frenemy because they need to get space rocket, lined up. Maybe he'll announce robot partnerships now. Like he might do it by June just to be able to tell the story. I've already got, 5 major companies signed up and ready to each get 10,000 robots each or something like that, that we won't deliver for 2 years, but they've signed up. Something like that.
I wish that would happen. That'd be amazing.
It could. He will pull what he needs to pull to tell the story when this is happening. And that all makes sense, doesn't it? Wow. Yep. Always great chatting with you guys. But I don't want to say boys because that's what Tesla
boys
calls us.
The Tesla boys.
No, too old for that.
I know. That's why it's funny because, well, you two look like men. I look like a child.
Yeah, you used to wear your cap backwards and people go, who's that guy with his cap
I still
backwards?
do. I just don't have it on right now. I need a haircut, by the way. I get Hans always looks so fresh every single time.
Oh, no. I go way too long sometimes.
Where do you go?
But
I feel like you go every 2 weeks or something like that. Are you a 2 week guy, 3 week guy?
No, 3.
Oh, man. I'm a 6 weeker. I got to go. Okay, we're all going to have fresh haircuts next Wednesday. All right, everybody. See you soon.
Have a good one.